This is a case study and testimony of a 15-year-old male who came to Sally Bower and Associates broken and feeling stupid. Tell us how you were prior to treatment. Describe your challenges academically and social. What was your life like?
Well, socially, I would say my mouth was sewn shut. I didn't have very many friends. Really, I was down on my luck when it came to social situations. In school, my teachers would sometimes get mad at me because I wasn't paying attention or I wasn't turning my homework in. Really, I had no drive, and I just couldn't listen in during class and outside of class.
Okay, and you told me that you even put your head on the desk many, many times because you couldn't get it.
Yes.
You couldn't understand what the teacher was saying.
Yes. In fact, I would also sleep on the desk more times than I would actually care about putting my head on the desk.
So how were your grades?
They were C's at most, some were even F's. I always wanted to get those A's, but I knew it kind of out of my grasp, so I didn't really care.
And you come from an achieving family?
Yes. My brother's heading to the military by his choice.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents are both senior technologists.
Mm-hmm.
And they expect much of me.
So the bar was pretty high in
Yes.
your family?
Yes.
And so how do you think that impacted your family? What were they trying to do to help you?
They were trying to help me through school as best as possible. At the time, they didn't really think much of auditory processing. They thought it was just something when he was 4, not something when he was 15. I would say they tried their best with the information that they had, but at the time, the information was very skewed, I would say. Yeah.
And did you feel like you were drowning?
Yes, I did.
And what were you trying to do to help yourself?
Nothing.
You didn't know?
No, I didn't.
Didn't know how?
No, I did not.
Did not know how.
Yeah.
So this is baseline. This is where you started. This is what your life was like. It was
Yes.
bleak and dark,
Right.
and there was no hope for the future
That is correct.
because you didn't feel like you could achieve.
Right.
But boy, did we show you.
Yeah.
In this particular section, we're going to talk about the implementation of the bone conduction 10-day intensive program, the daily use of the listening program, and the clinic auditory processing protocol that we are very, very successful with, and you will show us why we're so successful. Each of the parts that we add into our therapy protocol are so vital to help your brain become a better processor. Some of the things that we did were, what kinds of programs did we do within a session, would you say?
I would say we listened to special formulated music with the transducer on top of the headphones. Mm-hmm. And also we did the IM, which is some sort of metronome.
Interactive metronome.
Interactive metronome.
And tell me what your scores were like on baseline.
When I first started the bone conduction therapy, I was at 215, severe deficiency. I was at all these horrifyingly bad scores. Then now you look at me, I'm at 13, I'm superior to.
You're breaking clinic records.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The lower the score, the better. And tell me a little bit about what interactive metronome is.
Well, interactive metronome is I have to catch the beat. I have to catch the beat every time with my hands, feet, or any motion that has to do with my limbs.
And you listen to a beat through headphones.
Yes.
54 beats a minute.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then you match that beat. And the screen shows you if you're too fast or too slow. You have to be straight on the beat to get the score.
Yes.
So what does that mean to your brain when you were so off the beat when you came?
What does that mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it means that I was very out there back then, but I'm here now.
That means that you weren't making those synapses occur. You weren't a very efficient brain user.
Right.
You couldn't go from one side of your brain to the other side and get that information easily. I remember the very first day that I spoke with you, and carrying on a conversation was very laborious for you and for me because you had such word finding difficulty.
Yes.
You would start a sentence and you would say, "Oh, what's that thing called? Oh, what's called?" There were so many stops and starts that it was very difficult to communicate with you. So think about socially.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in a cafeteria and you're at the table and conversations are going like fireworks across the table and you can't keep up because your processing was so slow and delayed.
That happened all the time. I can't even count.
And so kids thought you were just snotty. They
Right.
thought you didn't care, that you weren't social, but you could not keep up.
Right.
So that's why that processing of the brain is so very, very important. With the bone conduction intensive and the daily listening program that you're continuing to do even now, we're changing the way the brain processes information.
Right.
You've got to change the processing first, then you can go in and change the timing, and that's what we do with interactive metronome.
Yes.
We have to change the timing because timing is everything. It's
Right.
walking, it's talking, it's swimming. It's everything that we do has timed in it. Golf, soccer,
Yes.
ballerinas, you name it. Pitching, anything has timing to it.
Right.
That's why the timing is also a critical piece. Let's talk about the changes that you noted. You came 1 day a week
Yes.
for 11 months,
Right.
and all of your scores are back to normal. Let's talk about the changes in your attitude after your training.
Well, before training, I would say I was kind of a pessimist, and I would only think about myself. After training, I think I've become more optimistic. I'm looking up now. Life is great. I can see the future. Everything's just better for me now. And I would say that I was also a bit of a nihilist back then. I just, wasn't in the right mindset of human thought.
It was hard to get out of that deep, dark
Right.
thoughts
Right.
because you didn't believe in yourself.
Right. There's nothing to go to.
And it affected your family relationship
Of course
too
it
because
did.
you pulled away from them.
Yes.
And that's not like you.
No.
No. What about your attention?
My attention, much greater. I used to just sleep in class, have my head on the desk. Now I'm actually interacting in class. I'm participating in more, problem-based situations. I can cooperate more with my friends. I can do all these things because of attention. And without this attention, I couldn't do the things that I could do now.
What about organization skills?
Greatly increased.
What did your papers look like prior to treatment? Just a big bunch of mess?
It looked like chicken scratch.
Couldn't find anything?
Right.
Couldn't locate to put anything in for the next day?
I used to just stuff things in a bag. Didn't matter if it was in a paper bowl or not, just if it was there, it was fine.
Then you couldn't find it.
Right.
Okay. Now?
Now, everything is neatly organized. No matter where I go to, if it's my computer, if it's my backpack, if it's my locker, it has to be organized. Otherwise, I'm not going to find anything, and nothing will get done. So.
Great. Okay, how about physical aspects? What did you see changes noted?
Well, back then, before the listening program, I wasn't a very athletic person. I did swimming, but I never had the drive to do it. And I just wasn't happy with athletics at all. And I never wanted to do what I do today. Today I'm a lifeguard. I work at Bedford Splash, and I don't think I would have had this position if not for the listening program. And I'm very fortunate to have this job, and I'm very fortunate to be here today.
What, to take the test?
Yeah.
Even to do that, you would not have been able to
Right.
have done before. That would have been too overwhelming for you
Right.
to even think about.
Exactly.
Take your driver's test, to take all these tests, because tests were very, very emotion-filled, panic, anxiety-filled for you.
Tests, for me, was a moment to dump everything onto the paper beside me, not the actual test, if there was a paper there. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. How about academic, how things changed? Tell us a little bit about your school.
School, it's a project-based school. It is focused on STEM, essays, all things group-related. But there's a bunch of individual aspects of it too. Like with group projects, they give you specific assignments in that group to complete. I always complete my assignments. I'm never late, and I always make sure I get it done. I can't say that for the rest of my teammates, though.
Mm-hmm. There's a bit of learning in that too, huh?
Yes, there is.
And you kind of empathize with them sometimes because maybe they don't have the skills yet.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, how about leadership? Because this is something that we've been so proud of with you.
Yes.
The first time you got on your report card that they thought you were a leader. Wow, we were excited.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
Tell me about that.
Well, on my first project, I didn't even know what I was getting into. I was new with everyone else, and naturally I became the leader, just working and working. I just couldn't stop working on this assignment while everybody else was slacking off. And the teachers noticed this, kept on noticing things about me. I would order people what to do doing some assignments, and I would be actively proactive in working in this environment.
So tell me about some of the things that have occurred this year that have been really exciting. What things have you done this year that are out of the ordinary?
Okay, so this year was the first time I ever went to Europe, let alone 4 different countries. And I've also gone to Washington, D.C. to participate in a rocketry competition, which we could have met the president, but he didn't show up.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you've had adventures this year that you never thought could be in your dream.
Right. It's insane what I've done this year.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've been able to do this year.
What have your grades been?
My grades have been A's and high B's. Not a single C in sight.
You're an A boy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How about your verbal skills? How have they changed?
Yes, they have.
Well, you can see today,
Yes,
the way you're
I
talking
know.
today, the way you're presenting. You have such insight that you need to share with others.
Right.
Because you didn't have that insight before. You were too, again, like we said, dark and deep. You couldn't
Right.
pull out of that hole. And now you've got such phenomenal verbal skills.
Yes.
So when you open your mouth, you know that you're okay.
Yes.
You know that you can talk.
I
You know
know
that
it.
you can communicate
Yes.
at the highest level.
Mhm.
Because a lot of your school activities are having to get up in front of the class and do oral
Yes.
presentations.
There are POLs, which are called presentations of learning. They're all about standing up in front of crowds and giving speeches, explaining information about a topic, all these things that I would have never dreamed of me doing. Almost impossible of me.
You know, another thing we forgot to mention was the Civil Air Patrol.
Yes.
That was an opportunity that you would never have hoped to be able to do.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's, I'd say pre-military. It's, we go and work with FEMA, during times of disaster, and we go on missions, just for fun and stuff, which is just great. I love it.
You have a passion,
Yes.
okay? That's the end of part 2. And this is really the most important part because we're going to talk about how does this all impact your life? Your hard work. You know, we are so appreciative that you never gave up on yourself. We never did. We certainly weren't going to. That's not something we do, but you never gave up on yourself. So if we asked you to do something, you did it, and you did it, and you did it with a good attitude. As you know, in our clinic, there's signs up in our clinic that say attitude is everything, and you have to have a good attitude before you can come back to the clinic part.
Right.
I think that helps kids just get into the mindset of a good attitude. If you wake up in the morning and have a good attitude, you're probably going to have a good day. If you wake up in the morning with a horrible attitude, you're probably not going to be very successful that day. And you came in with a really poor attitude.
Yeah.
You couldn't help it. There was no way out of it. But we changed that around too, just by our clinic policies. Okay, how have the changes impacted your future goals and plans?
Well, before, I didn't necessarily have a future or goals. It was all in the moment. It was all in that day. How can I pass this day without doing the minimal amount of work? Now I'm more thinking, hey, I can get in college right now with what I have now. But what can I do to exceed that? What can I do to exceed my expectations? I want to aim high and hit even higher, which I'm very glad that I think this way now.
The sky's the limit.
Exactly.
Now we're just in the process of trying to find out what really interests you and finding that passion.
Right.
And we've looked at a couple things.
Yes.
And so what grade will you be in next year?
I'll be a sophomore in high school next year.
Mm-hmm. So you've got some time, but the people who do the best in college are the ones that know what they want to do.
Right.
and that have that passion, and they're going to push on
Right.
to get that goal no matter
Exactly.
what do you want to share with others that may have similar struggles?
Do not ignore the signs. Parents, I know that you do your best to protect your child, but if they're slacking in school, if it's just they don't care, pick up the signs and notice them. My mom, she did the best she possibly could with the information she had, but it just wasn't enough. It wasn't my ability to learn, it was my head, which was my ability to learn and all that, but it wasn't me, it was my head. That's what I'm trying to say in essence. Yeah, just don't ignore the signs. Yeah.
There is help.
There is help.
There is hope.
There's hope.
And you were older,
I
and
was.
some people may say, well, how are you going to change the brain of a 15-year-old? Those patterns are so set, those negative patterns are there. There's a thing called neuroplasticity. We can change brains, and we do it every day in our clinic. And so we don't give up. That processing can change at any time. Even in geriatrics, we can change brains. How have the positive changes impacted your family?
Greatly. I can now talk to my dad freely, which was a very uncommon occasion before bone conduction therapy. I can talk to really anyone I want at any time, which is just a great increase.
Why was your relationship difficult with your dad?
It's because we never talked. Honestly, that's why. And now with bone conduction therapy, I feel like I can talk to him, which is just, it's greatly increased our relationship.
Because he didn't know how to help you.
Exactly. He just didn't know. Now he does, and now we're a lot happier. All of us as a family. I'm closer to my brother, my mother, and my father. Closer to everyone in my family, even my extended family, which is great. Yeah.
Okay. And so what's that first step that you would tell somebody to take as a family?
Recognize it. I'd say recognize it and do something about it.
Do the testing.
Exactly.
Get the testing done with an audiologist. Find out exactly what kind of areas are involved.
Right.
And then find a clinic such as Sally Bowen Associates. Christine and I have been so honored to work with you.
Yeah.
And see the changes and see the hard work that you put into it. And we really appreciate you sharing this with the public today. We've intentionally not given your name or shown you because of confidentiality, and we appreciate that, but you are going to show the world that it can be done.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.